You are welcome to this presentation on developing your child safeguarding procedures for sole providers, which has been developed by your local Children and Young People Services Committee, CYPSC. The term sole provider is used to describe any adult who works on their own to provide a service or activity to one or more children or young people. My name is Sandra Claxton, Tusla Children First Information and Advice Officer. The aim of this information session is to assist you to develop your child safeguarding procedures in line with the requirements of Children First National Guidance for the Protection and Welfare of Children. To better understand the context for this presentation and to effectively use the guidance and templates document that have been created for your use as a sole provider, it would be important to undertake the Children First e-learning program, as outlined here on the slide. This basic e-learning program outlines important information, for example, in relation to the Children First Act 2015, the Children First National Guidance, and recognising signs and indicators of abuse, which are all relevant to your role as a sole provider. The e-learning program is universally available, is free of charge, and generates a certificate. It is available through Irish. So what does Children First National Guidance for the Protection and Welfare of Children say about sole providers? If you are an adult working on your own to provide a service to children, you should ensure that your procedures follow best practice in child protection. It is important, therefore, to ensure that as a sole provider, your child safeguarding procedures are developed and implemented for your activities. Note, in relation to the Children First Act 2015, sole providers are not classed as providers of relevant services. To qualify as a provider of a relevant service under the Act, the service provider must employ at least one other person, whether through contract, voluntary arrangement, or mutual agreement, to undertake any work or activity on their behalf. Therefore, the requirement for a child safeguarding statement does not apply to sole providers. In order to assist you to have appropriate child safeguarding procedures, your local Children and Young People Services Committee have developed a document specifically for sole providers. This is called Sole Providers Developing Your Child Safeguarding Procedures Guidance and Templates document. This document, it is hoped, will be of assistance to you if you are, for example, a music or dance instructor, artist, counsellor, tutor, sports instructor, or any adult working on your own and providing activities for young people. The document outlines samples and templates for a number of key procedures required to safeguard children and young people. It is provided as a guide only, and sole providers may need additional procedures relevant to their activities. Outlined is a link to the Guidance and Templates document. You might like to download this document and have a copy to hand to refer to as you go through the presentation. This slide outlines the cover of your template child safeguarding procedures from the Guidance and Templates document. As well as inserting your details, you might like to personalize it by putting images of your logo for your activities on the front of the document. This section outlines a sample of guiding principles when carrying out the various activities and services you provide to children and young people. These will include areas such as having procedures in place to safeguard children and ensuring that you are respectful and treat children and young people equally and with dignity as outlined above. I'm now going to take you through key procedures and practices for safeguarding young people for sole providers from the Guidance and Templates document. We're going to be looking at samples of those in blue, but there are templates for all 12 of the procedures and practices outlined in the slide. Those areas cover guiding principles, reporting procedure, confidentiality, codes of behaviour, social media and digital images, accidents and incidents, complaints, supervision of children procedure, anti-bullying, if an allegation of abuse was made against you as a sole provider, when parents and carers are selecting you, and training and support. One of the most important procedures to have in place is the reporting procedure. This outlines what you will do if you become concerned about the welfare or protection of any young person you might be providing activities for. Here is a section from the template reporting procedure in the guidance and templates document. If I am not sure whether a concern about a child or young person should be reported to the TUSLA Social Work Department, I will seek informal advice from the duty social worker, i.e. discussing my concerns without identifying the child or family. I will record the outcome of the discussion with the social worker and take their advice. You would then insert your name into the document and the steps outlined along with the link to the TUSLA website for reporting as outlined in the slide. In the document, there is space to insert your local social work numbers if you need to contact them for advice and your local GARDA numbers if there were an emergency. Although sole providers are not providers of relevant services under the Children First Act 2015, it is possible that a sole provider could be a mandated person under the Act. For example, if you are a counsellor, psychotherapist, or a person providing counselling, where you are registered with one of the voluntary professional bodies for counselling or psychotherapy. You should check Schedule 2 of the Act to see if your role or profession is outlined. Many adults, however, who work with children will not be mandated persons. If your role or profession is not listed in the schedule, this means you are not a mandated person under the Act. This, however, does not diminish your responsibility to follow your reporting procedures and report child protection and welfare concerns. The role and responsibilities of mandated persons are outlined in a TUSLA e-learning module, which is free of charge, is universally available, and generates a certificate. If you are a mandated person, it is advisable to do this training. See the link on the slide. So all workers and volunteers need to be aware of thresholds for reporting. Further details on this area are covered in the TUSLA e-learning program, An Introduction to Children First. Details on how to access this program are outlined in slide 2. Reasonable grounds for concern. This is the basis for making all reports to TUSLA under the Children First National Guidance. This is for all persons, including those mandated under the Act. Reasonable grounds exist when there is evidence, for example, an injury or behaviour that is consistent with abuse and is unlikely to have been caused in any other way. Any concern about possible sexual abuse, consistent signs that a child is suffering from emotional or physical neglect, a child saying or indicating by other means that he or she has been abused, admission or indication by an adult or a child of an alleged abuse they committed, an account from a person who saw the child being abused. If you think a child is in immediate danger and you cannot contact TUSLA, you should contact the Gardaí without delay. The legal definition of harm is what a mandated person will use to decide if they're making a mandated report under the Children First Act. Harm means in relation to a child assault, ill treatment or neglect of the child in a manner that seriously affects or is likely to seriously affect the child's health, development or welfare, or sexual abuse of the child, whether caused by a single act, omission or circumstance, or a series or combination of acts, omissions or circumstances, or otherwise. TUSLA encourages all reports to come to them through the use of the TUSLA portal. It is fast and more secure. If you are using the portal, you will need to set up an account. You will fill the Child Protection and Welfare Report form online. When making a report this way, you will receive an automatic acknowledgement of your report. Reports can also be made in person, by telephone, or in writing. Your local social work department with dedicated contact points are available through the link outlined. There is also an out-of-hours contact number for mandated persons. This number is available during the hours of 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. on Monday to Friday and 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. However, in an emergency, contact the Gardaí. There is also a retrospective abuse report form available on the TUSLA portal. This can be used if an adult discloses that they were abused in childhood. For more information in relation to this area, see the resource document outlined on the slide. As outlined earlier, it is really important to remember that you can look for informal consultation with the TUSLA Social Work Department. That is discussing your concern without identifying the child or family, and then taking their advice as to whether you should make a report. If you're a mandated person and you're not sure if your concern reaches the threshold for a mandated report, the duty social worker can also advise you in relation to this. You can contact the Tusla Social Work Department at the Tusla dedicated contact point for the area where the child lives. Please see the link to find your local social work department numbers. One of the procedures outlined in Children First that needs to be in place is in relation to what happens if there is an allegation of abuse of a child against you as a sole provider. For example, physical or sexual abuse. So the following procedure is outlined in the template document. If an allegation of abuse is made against me, the following actions would take place. The parent's guardian's responsibility. The parent's carers will contact the Tusla duty social worker to discuss and/or report their concerns. My responsibility. In the event that an allegation of abuse is made against me, I will contact the duty social worker in Tusla and cooperate fully with any investigations. Any further action in relation to such an allegation will be based on consultation with Tusla Child and Family Agency. I may also seek independent legal advice where necessary. Organisations are required to have a recruitment and selection process, but as a sole provider, parents, carers and young people are selecting you to provide an activity or service. Some of the areas that you can have in place to assist them are outlined on the next slide. When parents and carers are selecting me to deliver a service or activity to their child or young person, Garda vetting is generally not available for sole providers. However, I will make available a declaration form in this regard. I will inform parents, carers of any relevant training or qualifications I have. I will have relevant insurance in place. I will endeavour to be transparent with children and young people and am committed to having a child-centred ethos. I will inform parents about my service and activities, and all procedures will be made available for parents and carers. Outlined here are some examples of acceptable and unacceptable practice when working with children. In developing a code of behaviour, you should consider the nature of your activities and the age of the children and young people involved. The following is taken from the sample code of behaviour for sole providers outlined in the guidance and templates document. A code of behaviour generally starts with a statement such as the one below. I, and your name would be inserted, am committed to having a child-centred approach in how I deliver activities to young people. I understand what is acceptable and unacceptable interactions when I provide an activity or service. I believe that children's welfare is paramount and that young people should be treated with respect. I aim to do this by having an open door policy which encourages parents and carers to phone, call, ask questions as appropriate, encouraging children always in a positive way, providing an inclusive environment for all children and respecting children's diversity. Examples would be disability, culture, religion, family background. Having appropriate boundaries around my role in relation to a young person and their family life. Respecting the parents' carers' role in relation to decisions made about their children. I do not engage in or allow inappropriate physical contact with children. Any physical contact will be age appropriate, relevant to the activities taking place, and with the young person's permission. I do not develop favouritism or become overly involved with any one child or young person, verbally abuse or physically punish any child or young person, allow bullying, disrespectful or abusive behaviour by children or others, or engage in practices which demean children. Children First requires those working with children to have a procedure around safe use of social media and digital images. Here are some examples from the template document. I will not share my personal social media profile with any young person involved in my activities. I will not accept friend or network requests from children and young people involved in my activities. I will contact parents, carers to inform them of any arrangements in relation to their children. The full name, email address, home address, telephone number, etc. will not be published with young people's photographs or images. Outlined here is a sample of the training you might have completed, for example, first aid, or perhaps you have a qualification in relation to the activities you provide. It also outlines that you have completed TUSLA Children First e-learning programs and any other child safeguarding training you might have done. Your local CYPSC have developed a number of online information sessions in relation to child safeguarding that you can view in the following areas: diversity and inclusion, designated liaison persons, awareness of bullying, and the impact of domestic abuse on children. All the above information sessions are available on the CYPSC website as outlined on the slide. In terms of implementing your child safeguarding procedures as a sole provider, as we all know, written procedures must be put into practice. So step one would be to write up your procedures using the guidance and template documents that we've provided. Step two, ensure young people and parents and carers know about them. Use the sole provider's leaflet to inform young people and their parents about the procedures you have in place and why you are required to have them. And step three, review and check if your procedures and practices are working on a regular basis. Over the years, people who work with children have outlined the difficulty of talking to parents about the area of child safeguarding and when they have concerns about their children, particularly if they have to make a report to TUSLA. This leaflet was developed for sole providers to explain to parents about the responsibilities that they have in relation to the Children First national guidance and legislation. Importantly, it also outlines for parents the other safe practices that you will have. For example, having a code of behaviour about how you will positively engage with children and consulting with them about their activities. You can fill in your details and then give this leaflet to parents and carers when a young person joins your activity. Mayo CYPSC have a number of helpful leaflets on their website. This one, entitled Children First Information Leaflet, outlines the responsibilities that individuals and groups have in relation to the Children First Act 2015 and revised Children First guidance. The leaflet provides links to training and support documents on the TUSLA website and can be used by an organisation or by yourself as sole providers. See the links for copies of the above resources. Hard copies of the posters and leaflets on the website are also available from the CYPSC coordinator. See contact details. For further information or support in relation to your child safeguarding procedures, you can contact the TUSLA Children First Information and Advice Service at the link outlined. I hope you have found this presentation helpful. Please see a certificate which you can fill in and is available for your own use, outlining that you have completed this information session. Thank you for your attention.